Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Buddhaṃ Saranam Gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ Saranam Gacchāmi, Saṅghāṃ Saranam Gacchāmi.
Buddhaṃ Saranam Gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ Saranam Gacchāmi, Saṅghāṃ Saranam Gacchāmi.
Pāṇātipada Viramani Sikkhapada Samadhiyāmi.
Pāṇātipada Viramani Sikkhapada Samadhiyāmi.
Idharani Nataha Pinsa Dilaṃ Sadhukaṃ Kattva Appamadena Sampadita.
Ama Baniva Shimpya Khana Season 300 ဆရာတော်ဦးကေလာတအရီဇိုနာမှဩဝါဒစကားချီးမြှောက်ပေးပါရန်တောင်းပန်လျှောက်ထားအပ်ပါသည်ရှင်ဖေဟာ။
ဘောတုသဗ္ဗမင်္ဂလံမင်္ဂလာအပေါင်းနဲ့ပြည့်စုံကြပါစေ။ကလေးတွေအားလုံးဒီခန္ဓာရဲ့အနှစ်သာရသူတို့ဖတ်တဲ့စာသားတွေရဲ့အဓိပ္ပာယ်ကိုအဓိပ္ပာယ်လေးနဲ့မှုကိုသူတို့အပြည့်အဝနားမလည်နိုင်တော့ပါဘူး။သူတို့အရွယ်ရောက်လာလို့ဘိုးဘွားအမွေအနှစ်တွေကိုယ်ွယ်တဲ့ဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့အပြည့်အဝသိလို့တဲ့ဆန္ဒဖြစ်လာတဲ့တစ်ချိန်မှာသူတို့ကိုအဲ့ဒီစကားလုံးတွေကအမှတ်ရစေပါလိမ့်မယ်။အဲ့ဒီစကားလုံးတွေကပဲသူတို့ကိုလူကောင်းဖြစ်အောင်ကောင်းတာကိုလုံးပြဆုံးဖြတ်နိုင်အောင်ဒီနေ့တစ်ချိန်မှာသူတို့ကောင်းကောင်းနားလည်နိုင်ဖို့အတွက်အဲ့ဒီသူတို့ကနားမလည်သေးတဲ့စကားလုံးစာသားတွေနှလုံးစာဖြစ်စေနှလုံးစာဖြစ်စေသူတို့မှတ်မိသလောက်ကသူတို့ကိုအထောက်ပံ့ဖြစ်စေမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်
။အခုဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့ program number 2 and program number 3အတွက်ကိုအခမ်းအနားမှုအဖြစ်ကျင်းပရန်နယူးယောက်မှဒေါ်ဝင်းပပကြီးအားဖိတ်ခေါ်အပ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
မင်္ဂလာပါ Thank you for inviting me for participate in the program of Buddha Day 2025. Now we are going to start part 2, which is questions and answers about Buddha Day and questions and answers on the Dhammacakka Sutta. In this session, elementary students, secondary students, and high school students will participate. First, I'd like to invite Lamin, King Wei-Zing, Amara, and Ariane for their questions and answers about the Buddha Day.
The Buddha Day or the second day that I really interested in and wanted to know. I see that in May, known as Kasumla in Myanmar, Buddha Day ceremonies are being celebrated in Myanmar, in the United States, and around the world. Because of this reason, I am also very interested in learning more about the Buddha Day. Could you please explain why Buddha Day is celebrated in Myanmar, the USA, and all around the world?
Buddha Day or Vesak Day is one of the most important Buddhist holidays, celebrating the birth, enlightenment, and passing of Gautama Buddha. The core values of Vesak revolve around peace, wisdom, mindfulness, and kindness, reflecting the essence of Buddha's teachings. Here are five reasons why it is significant. Number 1, celebrates Buddha's life. Buddha's life marks 3 major milestones in Buddha's life. His birth is enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, and his passing into Nibbana, free from all suffering. Mara, can you tell me more?
Global observance recognized by the UN as an international holiday is celebrated worldwide with lantern festivals, prayers, and temple visits. Day of Compassion and Generosity. Buddhists practice kindness, donate to the needy, and perform acts of merit, like freeing caged birds, to cultivate good karma action. Book Lama, can you continue?
Meditation and reflection. The roads practice samatha and vipassana meditation, recite Buddhist teachings like Dhammacakka Sutta, and reflect on Buddhist teaching of Dhamma to deepen their spiritual practice. Buddhism focuses on the cultivation of the 5 precepts, ethical guidelines, and the middle path. Sila, morality, stamina, concentration, and Bana, wisdom. Arian, can you continue?
Thanks to all of you for discussing about the Buddha Day. Now, we are continuing with questions and answers on Dhammacakka Sutta. I'd like to invite the group leaders, Su Ao, Heng Lin Ao, Dazin Jo, Tan Zin, Lin Lin, Su Nyat Phi, Noel, Tiffany, Shin Tan, Alexander, Sui Zin, Hazar, Victoria, Ain Dazin, Pia Bala, Hank, Hema, Sarah, Rebecca, Cynthia, Marinda, and all the kids from Youth Buddhist Association, Arizona, which led by Ashin Kelata. Dazinjo, now you can start.
Apologies for before. A respectful greeting to all the venerable Siyados. Udabare Shimpia. And a warm Mingalaba to all my dear Dhamma friends. My name is Lizancho, and my Buddhist name is Janapali, which means power of concentration. Prince Siddhartha Gautama was born in 623 BC. At the age of 35, he attained enlightenment and became the Buddha. He passed away at the age of 80. These three significant events, his birth, enlightenment, and parinibbana, all occurred on the full moon day of May. Today, we are celebrating the Buddha Day ceremony to commemorate these sacred occasions. The Buddha Sasana era began in the year the Buddha passed away. Therefore, this year marks the year 2569 of the Buddha Sasana era. At today's Buddha Day ceremony, we will start our program with a special chant led by 3 girls from our Dhamma class. 1. Buddha Gamanagata by Amara, Amada Bali. 2. Diwatapati Gata by Maping, Hita Bali. And 3. Yojino Gata by Malin, Yasa Bali. Amara, please begin.
Buddha Gamanagata Angira Sasa Unaya Datahi Sitaram Siyo Wajirawa Virojanti Jino Metatu Stay Sake Nilayo Nilatana Ma Pidoda Taja Lohita Dama Damaja Manjita Nikamim Subabasara Sadhu 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 Diwa Dabadi Gata Diwa Dabadi Adijo Radi Ma Badi Janti Ma Sanado Gatiyo Dabadi Jai Dabadi Brahmano Atthasaba Mahomatim Guru Dabadi Tejasa Jadisam Tejasapanam Buddhavandami Sadaram Idina Sachuvajina Suti Mehodu Savada Suti Dehodu Savada Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Now one time. Yojino Aneka Jatiyam Sabuddha Dava Mangajivitambi Buddhi Bemato Alagamanaso Adasiewa Atikasa Tato Balam Apui Sila Balamatikambi Dasamitio Bayatamagadam Damigatipagam Namami Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Valentine.
Hello, Mingalaba. My name is Hain Leong, and my Buddhist name is Sukha Vala, which means power of happiness. We will now explore the Dhammacakka Pawatana Sutta through a Q&A format. 8 groups from our Dhamma class have been assigned to present a total of 39 questions and answers. Group 1 consists of Dazinjo, Su Ong, and myself. Su Ong will lead the questioning for our group. Su Ong, please take a moment to introduce yourself. Once that's done, Su Ong, please continue with the questions.
Hello, Mingalaba. My name is Su Ong, and my Buddhist name is Jakapali, which means protector of Dhamma. And I'll be asking some questions to my Dhamma friends. So, Hila what is the Dhammacakka Pawatana Sutta?
The Dhammacakka Pawatana Sutta is the first sermon delivered by the Buddha, approximately 3 months after his enlightenment. In this discourse, he introduced the foundational teachings of Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths, and the Noble Eightfold Path.
That is correct. Dhammacakka, where did the Buddha preach the sutta?
The Buddha preached the Dhammacakka Pawatana Sutta in the deer park at Isipatana, now called Sarnath, near the city of Varanasi. Today, you can see stupas and monuments at this historic site.
That is correct. Hila Who did the Buddha teach Dhammacakka Pawatana Sutta to?
He taught it to 5 monks called the Pancha Wagya. Pancha equals 5, Wagya equals group. Together, it means a group of 5 monks.
That is correct. Dhammacakka, can you list the names of the 5 monks called the Panchawagya?
They are Kondanya, Badiya, Papa, Mahanama, and Asaji. At first, they followed ascetic Gautama when he practiced extreme asceticism. But when Gautama decided to follow a balanced way called the middle path, they stopped following him. Later, they lived in Isipatana.
What does Dhammacakka Pawatana mean? What does Dhammacakka Pawatana mean?
It means setting the wheel of Dhamma in motion. It is when the Buddha first taught people the middle path, explaining ways to stop suffering and find happiness. It's like first giving the world a guide to be peaceful and good.
That is correct. Now the Zenja, please ask your questions.
Now I will be moving on to footnote questions and answers. Valerie, what balanced way did Gautama decide to follow?
The middle path.
That is correct. Chloe, what is the middle path like?
It's like first giving the world a guide to be peaceful and good.
That is correct. Mason D, what are the names of the 5 monks of the Panchawagya?
Kondanya, Badiya, Wapa, Mahanama, and Asaji.
That is correct. Last but not least, Maythun, what does Dhammacakka Pawatana mean?
It means setting the wheel of Dhamma in motion.
That is correct. That is all. Thank you for listening.
Hello, Dhamma class. My name is Suizan, and my Buddhist name is Wansap Bali, which means keep our relatives. Here's a quick reminder, especially for the little kids. Those responsible for answering footnote questions should stay prepared, remain unmuted, and be ready to respond promptly to help us stay on schedule. Also, please be mindful of any background noise. Lin, Denson, and I will be in group number 2, and Denson will be leading the questioning for our group. Lin and Denson, please introduce yourselves. Once that's done, Denson, please continue with the questions.
Hello to my class. My name is Linlin. My Buddhist name is Monopali, which means keeper of minds. Denson, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, Dhamma class. My name is Dan, and my Buddhist name is Sati Bala, which means the power of courage. So I will be asking the questions now, and my first question is to Linlin, and it is, why is the Dhammacakka Pawatana Sutta important?
It is the first sermon that the Buddha preached and explains the middle path and the Four Noble Truths, which are at the heart of Buddhism.
That is correct. Suizan, what is the middle path, which is Majjhima Patipada in Pali?
It's a way of living that helps you find balance. It means not being too focused on having fun or always wanting things, and not being too hard on yourself or causing yourself too much pain. Following the middle path can help you learn more, feel peaceful, and find true happiness.
That's correct. Linlin, can you explain the Majjhima Patipada a little more?
It refers to the Noble Eightfold Path, known in Pali as Ariya Atagiko Mago. This path consists of 8 factors, which we will study in detail later.
That's correct. Suizan, what are the 2 extremes?
One extreme is Gamma Sukha Lika Nu Yoga, which means living only for fun and pleasure. The other extreme is Atta Kila Mata Nu Yoga, which means hurting or punishing yourself too much. The first extreme slows down your spiritual growth, while the second weakens your mind and ability to think clearly.
That's correct. And my last question is to Linlin, and it is, why should we avoid these 2 extremes?
Because they don't lead to true happiness or understanding. Too much pleasure slows down our spiritual progress, and too much suffering makes it harder to think clearly.
That is correct.
Now I will be moving on to the footnote Q&A. My first question is to Martin, and it is, what are the 2 extremes?
One is chasing fun all the time. The other is being too hard on yourself.
That is correct. My second question is to Amara, and it is, why avoid these extremes?
Because they stop you from being truly happy and peaceful.
That is correct. My next question is to Xing Ling, and it is, what is the middle path?
It's living in a balanced way, not too much fun, not too much pain.
That is correct. And my last question is to Maylin, which is, why is the middle path important?
It can help you learn more, feel peaceful, and try and find true happiness.
That is correct. That is all, and thank you for listening.
Hello to my friends, my name is Shinta. My Buddhist name is Mokapai, which means freedom keeper. Today, my friends Noel, Tiffany, and I will be in group 3. Noel will be leading the questioning for our group. Noel and Tiffany, please introduce yourselves. Once that's done, Noel, please continue with the questions.
Hello everyone, my name is Noel and my Buddhist name is Manapala, which means power of personality. So Tiffany, please introduce yourself.
Hello, Dhamma class. My name is Tiffany. My Buddhist name is Santat Pali, which means peacekeeper. So Noel, please ask your questions.
My first question is to Tiffany, and it is, what are the 4 noble truths?
The 4 noble truths are 1, dukkha, 2, samudaya, 3, nirodha, and 4, magga. They are the Buddha's teachings about life and how to end suffering.
Yes, that is correct. My next question is to Shinta, and it is, what does the first noble truth mean?
The first noble truth states that life involves suffering, or dukkha. This means suffering is a real and unavoidable part of life. However, it does not imply pessimism. Rather, it encourages us to accept the reality of the world as it is.
Yes, that is correct. My question to Tiffany is, can you explain more about what suffering is?
Suffering means things like sadness, pain, getting sick, or losing things we love. Buddha talked about 8 kinds of suffering in this sutta. Some examples are being born is suffering, getting older is suffering, and so on.
Yes, that is correct. My question to Shinta is, what is the second noble truth?
The second noble truth is that suffering has a cause, which is craving. It is all about figuring out why things happen. It helps us understand the reasons behind our problems or suffering we experience in life.
Yes, that is correct. And my last question is to Tiffany, and it is, can you explain more about what the cause of suffering is?
Suffering is caused by 3 kinds of craving. 1, kama tana. This is when you really want fun things like food, toys, or anything that makes you feel happy right now. 2, bhava tana. This is when you want to keep living forever or want to become something special like a famous person or a superhero. 3, vibhava tana. This is when you want to disappear or not exist anymore, like wanting to stop being around or feeling like you don't matter.
Yes, that is correct.
So now I'll be moving on to footnote questions and answers. So, Qixing, what does suffering mean?
Suffering means things like sadness, pain, getting sick,
or losing things we love.
That's correct. Alente, what is Wibawa Tana? The answer is it is when you want to disappear or not exist anymore. So, Kishing, what are the 3 kinds of cravings?
Kama dana, bawa dana, and wibawa dana.
That's correct. Kishing, how can you end suffering?
You can end suffering by letting go of cravings and finding peace.
That's correct. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, my name is Simya Pei. My Buddhist name is Sita Bali, which means regarder of mind. Today, Alexander, Hazel, and I will be in group 4. Alexander will be leading the questioning for our group. So Alexander and Hazel, can you please introduce yourselves, starting with Alexander?
Hello, Dharma class. My name is Alexander, and my Buddhist name is Ujjubala, which means power of honesty. Hazel, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Hazel, and my Buddhist name is Rupa Bali, which means beauty keeper.
Alexander, please continue with the questions.
My first question is to Sumya Pain is, what is the third noble truth?
The third noble truth is that we can end suffering, which is nibbana. It is all about understanding that there's a way to stop our suffering by letting go of our desires and attachments.
That is correct. My second question is to Hazel, and it is, how can we end suffering?
We can end suffering by letting go of our cravings. This means stopping the desire for things we want or think we need. When we stop craving, the suffering fades away.
That is correct. Sumya Pei, what is the fourth noble truth?
The fourth noble truth is the path to end suffering, called the Noble Eightfold Path. It is all about learning to be good, kind, and peaceful, which leads us to a life filled with joy and harmony.
That is correct. Hazel, what is the Noble Eightfold Path?
It is a guide to live a good and wise life, and there are 8 parts. 1. Right view. 2. Right thought. 3. Right speech. 4. Right action. 5. Right livelihood. 6. Right effort. 7. Right mindfulness. And 8. Right concentration.
That's correct. Sumya Pei, please explain these 8 parts in brief.
Right view, understanding the Four Noble Truths. Right thought, thinking kindly and not being greedy or angry. Right speech, speaking truthfully and kindly. Right action, doing good deeds and not harming others. Right livelihood, having a job that doesn't hurt others. Right effort, trying to do good and avoiding bad things. Right mindfulness, being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. And right concentration, focusing your mind through meditation.
That is correct. Hazel, please divide these 8 parts into 3 groups.
The first group is called Sila, which has 3 parts: right speech, right action, and right livelihood. The second group is called Samadhi, which includes right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. The third group is called Panya, which has 2 parts: right view and right thought.
That is correct. That is all for the main questions.
I will now be moving on to the footnote Q&A. So my first question is to Snowy, and it is, how can you achieve right mindfulness?
By being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions.
That is correct, thank you. My second question is to Shinky, which is, what is a good way to concentrate?
A good way to concentrate is by focusing your mind through meditation.
That is correct, thank you. My third question is to Amyat. What is the Noble Eightfold Path?
It is the path to end suffering.
That is correct, thank you. My fourth and final question is to Thang. Please list 3 groups of 8 parts.
Sila, Samadhi, and Banya.
That is all for today. Thank you everyone for answering.
Hello, Mingalaba. My name is Anita Simhu. My Buddhist name is Agapali, which means keeper of the best. Today, Nayata and I will be in group 5, and Nayata will be leading the questioning for our group. So Nayata, please start by introducing yourself, and once you have introduced yourself, please proceed with question number 1.
My name is Nayita. My Buddhist name is Yoga Bali, which means the keeper of energy. 8. What are the three phrases Vata in the Dhammacakka Sutta?
In this sutta, the Buddha explains the Four Noble Truths and how he understood them in a complete way. For kids, here's a simple breakdown. 3 phases, which is Vata in Pali. Each truth has 3 steps or phases that the Buddha realized. Number 1, knowing the truth, Sajja, understanding what it is. Number 2, doing what needs to be done, Gija, practicing or working with the truth. Number 3, finishing the task, Gata, completing the understanding and no longer needing to work on it. Now I'll be questioning to Niyata. How do the 3 phases work with the Four Noble Truths to be 12 aspects, which is Dhammacakka in Pali?
There are 4 truths, and each truth has 3 phases, so that makes 12 phrases. In phrases, there are called Dhammacakka. This means there are 3 phrases for each of the 4 truths. 3 phrases for Dukkha Satya, the truth of suffering. 3 phrases for Samudaya Satya, the truth of the cause of suffering. 3 phrases for Nirodha Satya, the truth of the end of suffering. And 3 phrases of Magga Satya, the truth of the path to the end of suffering. So in total, there are 12 phrases.
That is correct. Now I'll be moving on to the footnote Q&A. My first question is to Grace, and it is, what are the 3 phases in Vata?
They are knowing the truth, practicing it, and finishing the task.
That is correct. My next question is for Brian. What do the 3 phases mean?
First, you understand the truth, then you work with it, and finally, you complete it.
That's correct. The next question is for Snowy, and it is, how do these phases fit with the Four Noble Truths?
Each noble truth has 3 phases, like steps to fully understand it.
That is correct. My last question is to Shinky, and it is, what is Dhammacakka?
It means the 12 aspects, 3 phases for each of the 4 noble truths.
That is correct, and that is all. Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Hima, and my Buddhist name is Himapali, which means peacekeeper. Hank, Biapala, and I are in group 6. Biapala will be leading the questioning for our group. Hank and Biapala, please take a moment to introduce yourselves. Once you're done, Biapala, please go ahead with the questions.
Hi, my name is Hank, and my Buddhist name is Sutta Bala, which means the power of knowledge. Bala, will you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Dhamma friends. My name is Kevin Hong, and my Buddhist name is Biapala, which means power of love. So now I'll be asking questions. So my first question is to Hank. Hank, please explain the 3 aspects for Dukkha Satya, the truth of suffering.
1, knowing suffering exists, Satya. 2, knowing you need to understand suffering, Kicha. And 3, knowing suffering is fully understood, Kata.
That is correct. Hema, please explain the 3 aspects for Samudaya Satya, the truth of the cause of suffering.
1, knowing craving causes suffering, Satya. 2, knowing you need to let go of craving, Kicha. And 3, knowing craving has been let go of.
That is correct. Hank, please explain the 3 aspects for Nirodha Satya, the truth of the end of suffering.
1, knowing peace and freedom from suffering is possible, Satya. 2, knowing you need to realize this peace, Kicha. And 3, knowing peace and freedom have been realized, Kata.
That is correct. Hema, please explain the 3 aspects for Magga Satya, the truth of the path to the end of suffering.
1, knowing the path that leads to freedom, Satya. 2, knowing you need to follow this path, Kicha. And 3, knowing the path has been followed and completed, Gata.
That is correct. Hank, please explain the 12 aspects or Dhammacakka in simple words.
The Buddha learned and practiced the Four Noble Truths in a very careful way. He understood 1. What the truth is, 2. What he needed to do about it, and 3. That he had finished learning and practicing it. This is why he said his understanding was thoroughly purified. He saw everything clearly.
That is correct. So, Hema, can you please move on to footnote question and answer?
Now I will be moving on to footnote Q&A. Valerie, what are the 3 parts of the truth of suffering?
1. Knowing suffering is real. 2. Try to understand it. 3. You've understood it.
That is correct. May Cindy, what does knowing suffering exists, Sacha, mean?
It means that it is true that everyone experiences difficult or painful times in life.
That is correct. Chloe, what does knowing you need to understand suffering, Kicha, mean?
It means that the noble truth of suffering is to be fully understood.
That is correct. May Thun, what does knowing suffering is fully understood, Gata, mean?
It means that this noble truth of suffering has been fully understood.
That is correct.
Hello, Dhamma friends. My name is Rebecca, and my Buddhist name is Metta Bali, which means keeper of loving kindness. Cynthia, Sarah, and I will be in group 7. Sarah will be leading the questionings for our group. Cynthia and Sarah, please introduce yourselves. Once that's done, Sarah, please continue with the questions.
Hello, my name is Cynthia, and my Buddhist name is Maga Bali, which means keeper of the middle path. Sarah, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Sarah, and my Buddhist name is Shika Pali, which means skilled guardian. So now we'll be moving on to questions. So my first question is to Rebecca, and it's, after the Buddha completely understood the 4 noble truths with all their details and deeper meanings, what did he say?
The Buddha said that he had gained the greatest and most complete wisdom in the world, which includes both gods or devas and humans. This means he became fully enlightened or reached Buddhahood.
That's correct. So my next question is to Cynthia, and it's, what did the Buddha continue to say to the 5 monks or Panchavagyas?
He continued by saying, I have gained clear understanding, my mind is completely free, and I'll never be born again. This is my last life.
That's correct. So my next question is to Rebecca, and while this sutta was being delivered, which of the 5 monks became enlightened?
The Venerable Koranya, who was the oldest, gained the clear, untainted vision of the Dhamma. Whatever is subject to arising is also subject to cessation.
Correct. So my next question is to Cynthia. What did the elder monks who were part of the first Buddhist council write down about the sutta?
They recorded that the Blessed One had started teaching the Dhamma, and all the devas or gods in the 6 heavenly realms, and the Brahmas, beings from the highest realms, exclaimed, in the deer park near Varanasi, the Buddha has begun sharing his amazing teachings, which are unlike anything anyone has ever taught before.
That's right. So Rebecca, please list the 6 heavenly realms and the realms of Brahmas.
According to Buddhism, the Deva realms are divided into 3 categories. 1. Kama Deva, desire realm devas. This group includes 6 heavenly realms. 2. Rupa Deva, form realm devas. This group includes 16 realms. 3. Arupa Deva, formless realm devas. This group includes 4 formless realms. The Rupa and Arupa devas are collectively referred to as Brahmas.
That's correct. So, when and how did the first Buddhist council happen? And my question to Cynthia.
The first Buddhist council was held 3 months after the Buddha's passing Parinibbana. It was supported by King Ajata Sadhu of Magadha and presided over by Venerable Mahakasapa. Venerable Ananda, the Buddha's close attendant, recited 2 Pitakas, the Suttanta and the Abhidhamma. Venerable Upali was responsible for reciting the Vinaya Pitaka, which contains the disciplinary rules for monks and nuns.
That's correct, and that's the end of my part of the questions.
Now I'll be moving on to footnote Q&A. Sheng Lang, what did the Buddha say after fully understanding the 4 noble truths?
He said he had gained the highest wisdom and became fully enlightened.
That is correct. Valente, what did the Buddha tell the 5 monks about his mind?
Would never be born again.
That is correct. Grace, which monk became enlightened while the Buddha was teaching?
The Venerable Kondanya, the oldest one of the 5 monks, became enlightened.
That is correct. Brian, what did the Devas and Brahmas say when the Buddha began teaching?
They said the Buddha had started teaching something amazing in the deer park.
That is correct, and those are all my questions. Thank you for listening.
Mingalaba, my name is Miranda, and my Buddhist name is Bodhi Pali, which means keeper of wisdom or keeper of enlightenment. Sumyape, this angel, and I will be in group 8, so Sumyape will be leading the questions for our group. Please continue with the questions.
My first question is to Dzangel, and it is, did the elder monks who were part of the first Buddhist council write down anything else about the sutta?
They wrote that at that very moment, the sound of the cry spread all the way to the highest heavens. The entire world, all 10,000 universes, shook and trembled. A bright, beautiful light filled the sky, shining even brighter than the glory of the gods.
My second question is to Miranda. Why did Venerable Gondinya get the name Anya Si Gondinya, which means Gondinya who has understood?
Because the Buddha said something special about the Venerable Kondanya. Anya Si Wadabo Kondanyo, meaning Kondanya has understood.
My third question is to Dzangel. How did Gondinya become a bhikkhu?
The Buddha said to Kondanya, Ehi bhikkhu, which means come monk. With these simple words, Kondanya became the very first monk, bhikkhu, in the Buddha's Sangha or community of monks.
My question for Miranda is, why is Gondinya important?
Kondanya is important because he was the first monk to follow the Buddha's path and the first person to attain arahantship after the Buddha.
My last question is to Dzangel. What can we learn from this sutta?
We can learn to be kind and helpful to others. It teaches us to stay calm and peaceful inside. We should not be angry or mean, even when others are. Being good makes us happy and wise.
Thank you, that is all.
Now I'll be moving on to the footnote Q&A. So my first question is to Valerie, and it is, what happened when the Buddha taught the sutta?
The whole world shook, and a bright light filled the sky.
That is correct. Chloe, how many universes shook and trembled after delivering the sutta?
10,000 universes.
That is correct. And my next question is to Maythune, and it is, what is the other name for Venerable Kondanya?
Anya Si Kondanya.
That is correct. And my last question is to Amara, and it is, what did the Buddha say to Kondanya?
Ehi bhikkhu, which means come monk.
That is correct, and that is all for Group 8. So to all the most venerable and respected Seattles, dear Dhamma friends, and all those responsible for organizing the Buddha Day ceremony, on behalf of our Dhamma class students, I would like to sincerely thank you for allowing us to participate in this special ceremony. A heartfelt and special thanks also goes to our beloved and respected teacher, Seattle Ukelasa, for his dedicated effort in preparing a Q&A session on the Dhammacakka Sutta. We deeply appreciate this opportunity and sincerely hope that you will honor us again by allowing our participation next year as well. Thank you. Sadhu. Sadhu. Sadhu.
Thanks to all the kids from Youth Buddhist Association, Arizona, for discussing Dhammacakka Sutta. Thank you. Now, we are going to move to part 3, which is for college and university students level, and discussing about what is Buddhism, why it is important, and what are the benefits of following Buddha's teaching. So, I'd like to invite Nim Yin Wei, Pyo Su Su Tue, Su Mung, Su Yi Mung Pyo, Ao Nyet Su, and Gang Ling Pyo, Su Pian Nanda. For what is Buddhism, you can start to get a question and answer.
Hello, Lava. I am Martin Survey, and I am currently year 2 medical student at the University of Yangon. Today, I want to discuss a simple question: what is Buddhism?
Hello, everyone. It's great to see you all in this event. My name is Sujin Montio. For now, I'm studying as a medical geriatry senior student at the University of Medicine to Yangon. As our friend described, we explore the interesting things about what Buddhism is and some fascinating aspects of Buddhism. But I still wonder, are there any deeper or special teachings that we should be aware of? So I'd like to ask, why are the Buddha's teaching important in our lifetime and how do they influence both our mind and body? So for this question, I would like to invite Mao Amreso to share his thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me, Minglava. It's my pleasure to be a part of this program, and today, let me share my own thoughts and experiences about the question why Buddhism matters to me and my family. Before discussing anything about that question, let me introduce to myself first. My name is Ang Yasu. I'm from Miaowu, Rakhine State. Currently, I'm a year student from the University of Medicine to Yangon. So let's continue to discuss about that question with my own opinion and personal experiences. Actually, each of us may have different spiritual beliefs. For me, Buddhism has the profound impact on our lives, shaping us how to interact with one another, how to embrace the challenges, and how to understand the world around us. Firstly, Buddhism teaches us the importance of mindfulness. In the world filled with distractions and constant noises, this wisdom has been a gift for us. By being mindful, we can be more patient with each other, more aware of our emotions, and more understanding our shared experiences. For example, in our family, we've adopted small practice like pausing to breathe before reacting in stressful conditions. To be honest, this habit is very simple, but by doing so, we can stay grounded and connected with each other even during the tough time. Secondly, another core value in Buddhism is compassion. The Buddha taught that we should strive to alleviate the sufferings of the others and act with loving kindness. Our family embraced this teaching in our relationship with one another and also with the wider community. I think compassion comes from simple things like offering a helping hand to a neighbor, supporting a friend in need, and simply listening when someone is hurting. And I believe that compassion has brought us closer together. It also reminds us that we all are interconnected and our actions, no matter how small, can make a difference. Thirdly, one of the more difficult yet powerful lessons Buddhism offers is the concept of non-attachment. This concept lets go of our desire onto the things, whether material possessions or rigid expectations of life. By this concept, in our family, we've learned to focus on the things that truly matter, like our family, our health, our happiness, and our sense of peace, rather than clinging to possessions or chasing after what we don't have. Finally, I remember one more thing that my mother always tells me. She said, you yourself and as much as anyone in the entire universe deserve love and affection. At first, I didn't know what she means. Gradually, I understand how words are based on Buddhism. She means we should start to treat the others with more love and passion. That's why it's obvious that Buddhism doesn't just focus on individual, but on harmony with the others, with the nature, and with the whole universe. That's why I strongly believe that Buddhism really truly matters to me and my family to a great extent. If we follow the principles of the Buddha's teaching exactly, I can say that we are helping build a future that's more compassionate and peaceful for the next generation. My last wish is that may we all continue to grow in Dhamma and find our true happiness. Thank you so much. And I want to invite Mao Gaolian for the next question.
My name is Gaolian Zhu. I'm currently a first-year medical student at the University of Medicine to Yangon. Today, I would like to ask about the question about practicing Buddha Dhamma. When I was young, I was always thinking about I can't be happy if I were rich. But now, after listening to many podcasts about practicing Buddha Dhamma, I realized material success could not feel that kind of happiness. And the question came to my mind is, what really brings happiness and peace in our life? I wonder if there is a deeper way we can learn. So, Masubidana, may I ask you the question, what are the true benefits of practicing Bodhidharma for all of us? Please answer this question.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to share my thought today. My name is Subir Nader. I'm from Sydney, a capital of Yukon State. I'm currently a medical year 2 student at University of Medicine to Yangon. I'd like to talk briefly about the benefits of practicing the Buddha Dhamma, not only from a religious perspective, but also from practical and personal points of view. To begin with, the Dhamma is a path of wisdom, moralities, and mental discipline. One of the great benefits of practicing is the development of inner peace. In today's travel world, mindfulness and meditation with the keepers of the Dhamma can reduce anxiety, improve focus. Secondly, by following the 5 reasons and living ethically, a practitioner naturally builds trust and respect in relationships, both at homes and in the community. This moral foundation is essential for a people's society. Thus, the Dhamma encourages wise reflection. We learn to question what causes suffering, what brings peace. This cultivate insight helps us make thoughtful decisions, at least with greater meaning, not blindly chasing pleasure, but understanding what truly matters. For me, personally, according to the Buddha teachings, brings a lot of these practical benefit. The benefit has really meaningful for me. I develop mindfulness, compassion, and understanding, weaken the mind, and reduce stress and anxiety. So I definitely recommend explore Buddha teaching as well as Dhamma to find peace and inner happiness. In summary, the Dhamma is not just a belief system. The Dhamma is not for more contemporaries. It's a practical guide for anyone seeking a common mind, better relationships, and deeper understanding of life. By practicing it sincerely, we began to transform ourselves, and in doing so, influence the world around us positively. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you for discussing about Buddhism. Also, I'd like to thank to everybody who participated in the part 2 and part 3. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite